Welcome to Cross the Line Sports. My name is Carlos Smith, back again with my good friend here, Miss Nicole Oates. Nicole, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Man,
Long off season, busy off season.
it sure is. And I'm super excited. I know we had a nice long layoff, but we are back talking about some more WNBA hoops. There's a lot of excitement now that the women are moving closer to the agreement. I know we were talking about it a little bit off air. So with free agency, you got, with the women's college basketball Final Four, expansion draft, there's a lot going on for the game of women's basketball. So I'm super excited about that. But we'll go ahead and kick it off talking about the CBA. Nicole, now that they're moving towards ratifying the CBA, what's your thoughts about the whole thing and like some key points that you saw with the new agreement?
Yeah, finally. Like we didn't know this day would come for the longest
Right.
time. Like it was getting a little gnarly, but super happy about the existence of it. I mean, it is the first comprehensive revenue sharing model in women's sports. So not only does it have a long overdue historic implications, but obviously great for the players that we're fans of. 'Cause a lot of them, even the retired players that are going to get some retro pay, the
Mm-hmm.
one-time retro pay. That was awesome. So glad they were able to do something there. Um, and then obviously the introduction of the Supermax, the
Mm-hmm.
extra roster spots for developmental players is great. I know the roster size has been something that's been a point just of discussion in general, but um, definitely critical as we saw, some teams go down the injury stretch at the last portion of the season last year.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome for them. And then, salary cap is here. Um, the additions to medical staff that some
Mm-hmm.
teams were sorely lacking. There is some governance there, so we love that. And just like work benefits that everybody
Yeah.
loves to see in
Absolutely.
general
Yep.
are long overdue. So good for them. So obviously, like I am all for like, well, this might not be enough, but it's a good start. But it truly, truly was like so glad that they got this much
Yeah.
accomplished, and they put quite a team together to get it to the finish line. So that was also amazing. Having like somebody like Claudia Golden in there to help you,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm so glad that information came out. Because I know a lot of people were like, who's advising them? Not Chad from the comments, but
Right.
somebody important was. So it's awesome that you see somebody like that for free, just in their corner, willing to roll up their sleeves and give these women like meaningful advice. It's really awesome.
Absolutely. I'm glad they got to an agreement. Of course, sometimes with negotiations, you might not get necessarily everything that you want, but the main sticking points, um, I feel like they did a really good job looking at the things that I saw. Of course, the pay, you said, of course, that's gonna be one of the main of all really one of the main things, like your pay increase, and then like you said with I was reading earlier about the 401k, so the teams are gonna put more into the 401k for the players, max salaries, which we know a lot of the best players are going to get the max deal. Of course, Asia, that's a no-brainer.
Yes.
Um, and then I was looking at how with some of the other things as well as like far as awards goes, like MVP, you get a $60,000 pay or MVP, or then even if you participate in the three-point contest, skills challenge, a lot of those different events and awards, certain team, all WNBA and everything, you get incentives on that as well. So that's gonna be big for the players as well. Um,
For sure. Yeah, I mean, some of these that they didn't have any benefit to winning them other than good job.
right.
So,
And
um,
with the playoffs too, I think I saw somewhere where the winners are gonna get more. It's the
yeah,
further they advance into the playoffs as well. So that's gonna be big as well. So now it's like, of course, it's great though. You playing for a championship, but now it's like you really being compensated and that even more
absolutely.
for it. So it's
Right.
always good to get that type of award. And I like the fact that they're providing housing. What was it I put down? The housing is
Yeah,
going to be
I love that.
provided for all the players for 26, 27, and 28, and then in 29 and 30, if you make less than I believe 500,000, then
Yep.
they'll give you housing as well. So that's great that you don't have to worry about spending your income on
Yeah,
housing,
that's huge.
especially
And
in
I mean, I
today's
live in
climate.
New
That's
York.
big. Yeah.
Yeah, I live in New York near the city. And that's huge. Like even with
Yeah.
the increase in salary, like that rent is taking the rookie's salary like
Oh yeah.
entirely, so that's definitely great to see. It's kind of like I was trying to think of another league that does something similar and like MLB and like their developmental leagues will do stuff. So this isn't
Hmm.
unseen. Um, and I mean these teams make so much freaking money.
They really
Like
do. Oh yeah.
you're probably going to have one or two rookies on your roster realistically.
Hmm.
Like and to give maybe one or two rookies a one bedroom apartment somewhere, like you're not breaking the bank over that. And
Yeah.
that is something that is literally potentially life changing. I mean, the whole experience is life changing for a rookie, but that matters a lot financially. That
Yeah,
definitely moves
it
them
did,
along.
like, and like you said, like living in New York, or if you live in LA, you know how expensive everything is in LA. So
Yep.
depending on where you stand, which team you playing for, man, it will cost you an arm and a leg. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
living anywhere is gonna be expensive nowadays, but now
Yeah.
living in one of those places, LA or New York, as a player, that would be you love the things that it brings in the lifestyle. But man, like if you really had to use your salary on that, man, it's
It's
gonna
tough.
cost you a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was big, and I also like the fact of what I saw. Maybe I'm pretty sure De'Arica Hamby had a hand in this one as well. She had her situation with the Aces now. Part of the deal, they can't trade a pregnant player without them having their consent from the player that they want to be
Yes.
moved. So I figure that's gonna be big. That gives a lot of the players, more comfortability and knowing like, hey, even if you do end up being pregnant, that the team just can't move away from you. So I think that's
Yep.
another big bonus for the women as well. Knowing, of course, having kids is a lot, especially for a woman is anyway. So to know that, if that does happen, then they can't move
You're still
on
gonna have
from
a
you.
town.
Yeah, exactly. So that was
It's
something
wild.
that's gonna be big for the players as well.
Yeah.
Because you never know how a lot of times when it comes down to sports, it is a business at the end of the day. So these teams are gonna do what's best for them, and whether at the end of the day they just want to get those results. So I think that's gonna be big for them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Definitely awesome. All awesome things. I think it was so interesting, I having somebody, like a Nobel Peace Prize winner in, what we had with Claudia come in.
Hmm.
I think the information that's coming out now, um, kind of backed by her research is so fascinating. And obviously there's a lot more that will come out, but just off of like very surface level, when she was like just looking and doing her research, she was basically like, no emotion, brass tacks. If we're just comparing revenue per player, the and you compare like WNBA to NBA, the players should be making a third of what the NBA players are making. They were making 1/80th.
Ooh. Oh, that's
That's
crazy.
how
Yeah.
behind, like that's how much the
Way
CBA
behind.
was needed.
Yeah.
And that's how much it means. And I think when you see figures like that, it really puts it into perspective. So I'm glad like actual data and stuff is coming out now about it because I think we in the past have had all these conversations and a lot of it's just been recycled talking points. We didn't have any updated data.
Right.
Um, and there were just so many ways to glean it and some of the information just wasn't there to be had to do the research. And so now, you know, as the dust is settling on this and more of the actual information and how we got to this point is coming out, I think it's so awesome that we now have a new baseline to see where things were judged by and where things actually are. And I
Yeah.
think some of that was kept in the dark from the players too. A lot of these interviews with players that were in the meeting were like, we don't even know where some of these figures stand. Like
Hmm.
we're being told multiple things on the other side of the table. Um, and so like that point was wild to me,
Yeah. I
like
was worried about it for a while because I was like, they were kept extending the extended the talks for the CBA, and then it kept pushing it back, and then it was like they couldn't come to an agreement, and then by a certain point last month it's like they don't come to an agreement by this date, then the season was going may have to miss some games and everything. So I was like, what's really going on? And then it was like for a while it was like the talks were just way off, and then it just finally was like I guess really who else had a hand in it? Kelsey Plum. I know she was part of it as well.
Yeah.
Neka Agumake. I guess once
Mhm.
they finished with the what's forgot the name of the league already. Nafisa
Unrivaled.
Rival. Yeah, on
Unrivaled.
Rival.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they were finally able to kind of like really kind of like lock in and kind of like really get some things done because for a while I was like, you know what, they might actually miss some games
Yeah.
because of how everything was going. And then not sure if it's gonna happen now or whatever, but they were also talking about kind of maybe like extending the season out into what maybe sometime October, November, like later on in the year if they have to.
Yeah, they did expand the amount of games per season.
Yeah.
They're going from 44 to 50, I think, and it will increase over the next few years to
Okay.
52. And part of that has to be baked in anyway, just because we have more teams.
You added more teams, yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, but that is something that was in there too.
You know what I
Um,
wondered? I wonder as they continue to add more teams, will they are they do they plan on adding more teams to the playoffs, and do they plan on doing like a East versus West as
yeah,
opposed to how it is now? Because you might be the Aces, but it's crazy because I remember being in Vegas towards the end of the season last season, and they were talking about like the seedings and the matchups, and they were just saying how like in the first round or whatever, they didn't really want to play Indiana, not because they were afraid to play them. It was just because of like how they were gonna have to just, the traveling, but going from like
yeah.
all the way in Vegas, then going to Indiana. It was like just because it's not like a West Coast team. There's a quick travel. Like you just going all the way across the country, and the way you have to travel is like it's a lot of back and forth that you would have to do, especially with the what is the 1-1 the how do they do is it 1-1 in the first round, or I know it's the best
Those
of three, so
charter
it's like the
flights went
1-1.
nuts.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
like
they were.
the the amount of travel you might have to do just for those playoffs is like it's a lot of movement. So I was wondering like do they eventually plan on doing like a East versus West to kind of make it a little bit easier? But I think as they continue to add more teams, that might be something else they would
Yeah,
plan
I
on
wouldn't be
doing.
surprised. Yeah, especially with the amount of teams in the relatively short amount of time that they're adding. Um, I definitely think it is something that we could expect to see sooner than later. Again, like they got chartered flights, so maybe that'll
Yep.
help a little bit. So,
Yeah, that makes it a
uh,
lot more comfortable for the players and with the charter flights, which they did start getting those. Was it? I think the year before last they finally started getting them. Last year, or the year before last was when they finally started getting those charter flights. So definitely makes it a lot more comfortable for the players and with the traveling arrangements and everything. But still, nevertheless, when you got to fly across the country for those games in a playoff series, especially when it's such a short series like a best of three, something like
mhm.
that, then it's a lot of going back and forth. So it's definitely something that I'll be interested in seeing as far as like how they with the teams and everything like that, the East versus West. But speaking of adding more teams, we had the expansion draft today, and I
Good.
finally got some notifications in my email. And when I remember when you told me about the expansion draft, I actually forgot it was today, and then I looked at it, and then I got all these notifications popping up from different teams. But expansion draft, Nicole, what are your thoughts about the expansion draft, and were there any surprises to you when you looked at the rosters?
I am surprised that, well, I am and I'm not. If you remember at the beginning of the last season, Marina Mabrey wanted out
Yeah.
of Connecticut and she stayed.
Hmm.
Didn't trade her. She kind of fell in love with that team anyway. Um, and didn't have the best coaching situation. They were one of those teams that just kind of flopped on the coaching situation, perhaps, to be determined. But I'm interested that they didn't protect her.
Me too. Me too.
You know, so
That one didn't
uh,
make sense to me.
and again, we don't know what conversations are being had. They are moving.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a factor. I don't know if they just saw it as an opportunity for it to be a symbiotic parting of ways. Like if ever there was a time, now is the time. But I am definitely interested that I would imagine
Yeah,
many rosters would find it tough to not keep somebody like Mabry.
but this is my thing though, and I want to know your thoughts. I feel like they kind of dropped the ball with it because she wanted to be traded and you said no. So instead of getting some kind of compensation for whether it's draft picks or another player in value, you just let her walk. Why
Yeah,
not
that's
try to
what I
get
do.
something for her? Just almost like in the NBA, where they're gonna have the situation where Giannis coming up, where they off willing to offer
Mhm.
him the extension in the summertime, and if he doesn't take it, they're gonna move on from him. So it's like you got a player on your roster. If you know you're not gonna keep him, why not, try to trade him and get some value when you had that chance last season? That's what doesn't make sense to me about the whole Marina Mabrey thing.
Yeah, I don't. I'm with you. If you can get something for whatever is there, and your
Even
other
if it's a second
alternative is
round pick,
absolutely nothing. Yeah, I mean,
something.
in any business deal, if you can get something for something that you don't intend on keeping now that we know anyway, then it sounds like a win to me. So yeah,
Exactly.
I also question the decision making there. Again, not sure if there's another layer that would just don't know or will never know perhaps. I think that one is perhaps the one that stood out to me the most. And then like names that weren't selected makes me wonder if these two teams just didn't see the need to go after them or if they were protected. Like we talked a lot about Jewel Lloyd last
Hmm.
season. I don't see why one of these teams wouldn't want to take a chance on her, which leads me to think that maybe she was protected. I don't know.
That's why I wish we could see like the rosters, or maybe they'll come out
But I
eventually and
know why
show
they
like,
don't, but I do want to see.
yeah, I just want to know like, and I think maybe it's to kind of protect. Well, of course the teams know, but it's like, and I'm pretty sure all the teams knew behind the scenes, like these are the players that's protected, these are the ones who are not. But for the public, maybe they don't want to release it because maybe the players will feel some type of way knowing whether they're protected or not, or however that works. But maybe they do know. But it
Probably.
would be interesting to see like just people who, as fans and people who cover the games, like who was protected and which players were not protected under the expansion draft. Because when I saw, like I said, when I saw Mabry on there, that was like the biggest shock to me.
Yeah, I would say like I'm looking at the list again. I would say perhaps she was the biggest name. I will say I already have a love-hate relationship with Portland. You'll probably hear me complain about them throughout the season. I already have questions about how they've been run up to this point.
Hmm.
My unsolicited, unprofessional opinions, but whatever. Um, However, I will say to go grab somebody like Bridget Carlton, like that was, I think, a potentially, you know, good move.
Hmm.
There, I have never heard about anybody not wanting to play with Bridget. She's been loved everywhere she's been. Her coaches have any chance they get to talk about Bridget, they say amazing things about her. And she is just an all-around
Yeah.
great player on the court.
I was gonna say,
She's just
playing in Minnesota, she knows how to play the right way. Being in
yeah,
Minnesota.
and I was glad to see them. I'm not sure what they're doing with their expansion draft, I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
But, regardless of which way you go, you could always be right with picking somebody like Bridget Carlton. So I am glad. And perhaps like she'll get an extended role. She was kind of buried in the roster because,
Hmm.
embarrassment of riches there in Minnesota. So maybe she will have this can be her team.
Right.
So we'll see what else they do. But I think that was probably one of my favorite things that
Yeah.
Portland did.
That's what I was gonna say. Looking at these rosters, I definitely lean more towards you on this, so you can like educate me more on these rosters. But there are two. It was kind of bittersweet for me because actually had a chance to interview two of the players. The two of the rookies. I had a chance to interview Aaliyah Nye when I was out in Vegas. Very sweet. Very talented player, can shoot the ball. Um, And it sucks for the Aces. This is the second year in a row for the Aces that they lost a player because the year before they lost Kate Martin to Golden State. And
Yep.
now you lose Aaliyah
Another
Nye
one
after
to
one
expansion
year.
draft.
Yeah, but
Yep.
that's one of the things about, playing on a successful team. You already know with any team that wins a championship, other teams are looking to pick some of those players off of your roster. So it's tough to see her go. And then I also interviewed when I was in LA last year, I interviewed Sarah Ashley Barker. Very, very sweet girl and highly knowledgeable about the game, man. She could talk hoops with the best. And then I remember one of the key talking points we had last year is when KD was at the game and she shot the ball and he was talking to her on the court. So when I finally interviewed her, she was just saying, "Yeah, KD was talking to me, and he was just telling me to hold my follow through." So then when she took another 3-point shot and she made it, then they were both he was just stood up cheering for her. So it was cool for her to talk about that during the interview, man. And but it's tough to see both of them, as rookies, playing with teams that they got drafted by, and then all of a sudden now you in your second year, going into your second year, you're playing for a new team already. So those were the two that I saw. I was like, man, I hate that they, moving on to new teams already.
Perceivably better versions of both of them is what these teams are getting too. Because
Hmm.
I know you and I were talking about like when does the draft happen? When does the season start? Kind of before we jumped on here. There's no a lot of these other leagues that we see, like the amount of time between a draft and their actual season start is fairly significant, and they have time to, find their place on a team and to meet their teammates and to, create connections. And that's just not a window of time that these women have. They're drafted and they basically start 2 weeks later. There
Yeah.
is there's no off-season window truly for them.
Right.
And so usually the first off season after your rookie year is when you really see people hone their craft and kind of take the steps because now they kind of know what to expect. You kind
Right.
of see
Yep.
it after the All-Star break a little, and then these players definitely take a second, step in their second year. And so I'm very interested to see. Also love those two rookies that you mentioned. I like them a lot, coming out of college.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm definitely interested to see what versions.
Yeah.
They've had it all off season too.
Yeah. And that's something they talked about when I interviewed them was like, how has that transition been? Because, you playing in college and then all of a sudden you get drafted and you don't have an off season to work on your game. And basically they were just saying, it happens so quickly that you get drafted and you go out to the city, you do your interviews and everything, and then it's just like you're still trying to find your way, get familiar with the city, and then you have your veterans that are kind of like help take you under their wing. But it's like it happens so quickly that you don't even get a chance to, process everything and because the season's just getting ready to start. So that's one of the toughest things that they said was just to kind of like that transition. But that's why you really lean on it's good to have them around veterans, being on a strong team with veterans to kind of take those players up under their wing because they don't have a chance to, work on their game and don't get a full off season. So this is really like their first off season to really like work on their game. And I know I believe Aaliyah Knight, she was in another league as well. Not Unrivaled. What was the other league? I think the one that Maya Morris.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of the league, but I know I think she was in that league as well. So, um, but yeah, it was. So for me, that was the ones. Those are the two that kind of aside from Marina Mabry, those are the two. I was like, man, I hate to, see
Yeah.
them, move on already.
I liked it, but then I'm also interested for the Liberty. They let Naira Saberly
Hmm.
go
Yep.
she's following her coach to Toronto, which a great opportunity for her, but interesting because that was, a pretty critical depth piece, I think, for the Liberty.
Hmm.
So it'd be interesting because I'll be dealing with supermax and salary cap
Hmm.
things in New York for
You
sure.
know, a lot
So
of times too, a lot of times when coaches get these head coaching jobs somewhere else, um, they always you see it in other sports as well, where they like to, take former players that they coach from
Mhm.
the previous team and bring them with them just so they have a familiar face and they can kind of like talk to the other players and show them like they're familiar with already with how they coach, their work happens and everything like that. So a lot of times those coaches do like to, bring somebody that kind of familiar with already. So it's
was
definitely
kind
gonna
of
be
interested
interesting.
I didn't see Johannes. Now
See
that I'm
who?
thinking about New York, Johannes,
Giannis.
he
Okay.
didn't appear in the expansion draft.
Mhm.
Kind of interested. Like now that I'm thinking about Liberty players that could have been, like that would have been a good piece for one of these
Mhm.
teams,
Do you
potentially.
do you think she was protected?
I would have to. I don't know if she like maybe. Um, it's hard to know without the.
Right.
We
That's what I
need
was saying.
we need the black book.
That's what I wanted to see, man. It's just like who
Yeah.
was maybe they'll release
I
it.
will
But
say that I have full faith in the New York Liberty, but they do their GM's going to have to earn the money this
it's
offseason
gonna
because
have
they have a
to
super max. I mean, a super max takes up like 20 to 25% of your salary cap. So
hmm
they got they got the Lord's work to do over there. But
yeah, you're gonna have to definitely earn your money now. It's gonna be interesting because I think you gonna want to keep your best players, but
with
I don't see a
Portland too.
situation. I don't see a situation with these players now, with this new CBA. Maybe some of them, I don't, the elite players, I don't really see them taking like pay cuts like that now. I think they're gonna really want to capitalize off this moment
And they should.
and get the max deal. Because you see it in the NBA, these guys, no, they yeah, you want to win, but at the same time, you want to be compensated as well. So with
The
their
window,
salary,
especially in the WNBA, the window of time that you have to be an active participant on a roster
yep,
is so slim.
it's a
If
short
you don't
window. Yep.
capitalize on it, that's just bad business. You know, like
hmm
I mean, we see great players. Like think about the Final Four we're about to witness in college. Most of those players that we're about to see, like they'll take up 2/3 of the first round of the draft.
hmm
And there will be some that will not make a roster.
Yep. That's one
It is
thing.
still, it's just that deep. There's 123 free agents right now in the WNBA.
It's gonna be a lot of movement going on. I think it's already probably like a lot of like behind the scenes talking going on, and you
Oh
know
yeah,
with these two
has to be.
expansion teams, it'll be interesting to see like what they try to do in free agency as well. Do they try to add some more pieces to their roster and see if they can pull one of these big name players? But then
They
of
got
course,
draft spots available to them, as well. So, we
hmm
had an expansion draft today. It's far from over. I mean, Portland drafted Nicole, which she was a phenomenal player when she was in college, but she's been so injury riddled already.
yeah, I think she's gonna miss it this year too, right?
She tore her other
Yeah.
ACL, I think. So,
hmm
which is it's so sad because she was such an awesome player in college. So, like, really rooting for her for sure. But interesting that they drafted her, which good for her. Be interesting to see if they keep her on the roster. That is one of those
hmm
situations to monitor for sure. Because I mean, these rosters they were drafted today. They're far from over. The actual draft happens. Free agency happens. There's a lot for every team
Yeah.
that is going to happen in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, we're still a lot more to go. But I'm super excited. Nicole, we're gonna take a quick break and then we'll touch back up on the expansion draft and talk Final Four when we get back. So stay tuned. This is Cross the Line Sports. Welcome back to Cross the Line Sports, back with Nicole. Now, Nicole, we were talking about the expansion draft before we took a break. So one other question before we move on is with the expansion draft, when you look at these two rosters, who do you feel like just at the moment? I know a lot of it's still gonna probably change with the free agency and the draft as well. But when you look at these two rosters, like it's currently constructed, who you feel like had a who which roster do you like more?
I would say Toronto's. I think they have more, like, I think solid veteran players,
Mm-hmm.
um, and more rookies with upside. Truthfully, I would say I like they just have more direction to me. I'm not
hmm
quite sure yet where Portland's going, but like purely put a pin in it because this is just the expansion draft. Maybe some of these players fit perfectly in with whoever they intend to draft and whoever they want to pursue, like in further negotiations and stuff like that. Obviously we do not have the whole picture here, but just with these players, I would say Toronto because I can kind of see where they want to go. This is definitely a Sandy Brondello type team that is forming here. Um, and honestly, for
They
Portland,
definitely got some shooters, not to cut you off, but Toronto, they
yeah,
got some shooters on their team.
Yeah. And just solid like players that have been in depth, positions on WNBA teams in the back half stretch of a season and done like very well. Like Lexi Held
Hmm.
um, was great for. I mean, she got hurt, in the back stretch of the season and just never came back. But like she was phenomenal when she was,
Hmm.
on the court, and that was kind of like an unexpected thing. Um, again, we saw some flashes with Aaliyah and I, like super excited to
Hmm.
see where she goes. Um, having Mabry can't really go
That's the
wrong
big one
there
to
as a
me.
foundational
Yeah.
piece. And then you have players like Almond and Sabali who have been like again key role players on good teams that
Hmm.
know how to be veteran leadership in a locker room. So
Hmm.
now that you don't necessarily see that, I just think you definitely have Bridget, and I don't think that there's literally anybody else in her category
Yeah.
on Portland's, at least for the first round. Truthfully, I like Portland's second round more than I like their first round.
Mhm.
Not
And I do
gonna
see
for
another
me.
player. I do see another player I came across. I didn't get a chance to interview her with Atlanta was Maya Caldwell
Yeah.
for Portland. I got a
Yeah.
chance
Interesting.
to watch her. But like I said, I think when I look at these two rosters, I lean more towards Toronto as well as with the shooting and the shooting ability that they have. I think Aaliyah now is definitely gonna get better, but like I said, Marina Maber was the one for me. Like out of all of the players on in this
Yeah.
draft, um, that was the one that really sold me. But I now to think about it, I just wonder who. Like I still wonder who the Sparks protected as well
Yeah.
because I thought potentially Azare or Azare Stevens or Ray Burrell. I thought one of them may potentially.
Right, for sure.
I like
Yeah.
Ray
Ray was
Burrell.
kind of, I do too. She definitely she took a next step. Unrivaled was a good off season for her.
Hmm. Like
She did
she
keep up on
when I was in LA, she missed some time because she hurt her ankle, I believe.
it.
But then when she came back and I watched her play, I was like, man, this Sparks team, they really got a lot of talent. I thought they were gonna make the playoffs, but it's like you got Kelsey Plum, of course you're gonna keep Cameron Brink, Rakia Jackson, you got Azare, De'Erica, that's five, and then Ray Burrell, that's six players. So I thought like which
Somebody
one?
would fall through, yeah, you wouldn't be able to. Some of it might come down to free agency too, because
Yeah.
there's only so many unrestricted free agents that they can go after, so
Hmm.
there are some safeguards there. It's definitely it's a chess game for
It is.
sure. Um, but like I said, like with Portland, I don't know why, other than Bridget, I like their second round more. Like I like Sarah Ashley Barker, Shug
I
Sutton.
do.
There's your shooter.
She can shoot it.
And obviously, like to be determined whenever Nika comes back, if she's, hopefully still on there. Haley Jones did great work down the stretch.
Hmm.
Like these are the types of players I guess like I kind of expected to see. Um, and if anybody or if anything has taught us, like we're looking at these rosters now and we're kind of like picking out bigger names, but the Valkyries didn't do that. They drafted a
And they
bunch of
put
people
together
that
a
like
solid team.
people didn't know most of those, especially the foreign players. People didn't
Hmm.
really, like you really had to be like in the weeds to know a lot of those players. Even as a fan, like a lot of like frequent fans didn't know a
Right.
lot of those players. Like why would you? And they know them now, so they
Mhm.
put together a phenomenal roster. So, I mean, some people just need a change of scenery too. So,
One other thing about Sarah Ashley Barker is hopefully she'll get a chance to expand her role and be more of a scorer as well. Because in college she really lit it up in the tournament,
yeah,
but it was gonna be hard for her to get those type of touches playing on that Sparks team with Rakia, Kelsey, and then with Azare and De'Erica doing what she was doing. It was gonna be hard for her to go out there and put up a average of 15 points or anything like that. Or your rookie year anyway. But then on top of that, playing with those other
yeah.
great players, it was gonna be
Absolutely.
hard for her to average that anyway. So hopefully she'll get a chance to expand her role in this
Yeah, I
upcoming
mean that's
season.
exactly what we saw on the Valkyries last year. We had two, players that were like deep bench players. Like people knew that they were good coming off the bench, and then I mean they lit it up for the Valkyries
Hmm.
all season, and good for them. So yeah, like there will be multiple players on both of these rosters that carve
Hmm.
out a name for themselves, a household name for themselves go in the season. So who it will be definitely exciting to see.
Absolutely. So Nicole, let's transition before we get out of here. We're gonna talk about the women's Final Four. We have UConn, South Carolina, in one game, and then we have UCLA and Texas in the second game. So when the smoke clears, Nicole, I'm gonna ask you who will be left standing as the national champion in college basketball, women's college basketball.
I'm not going against Don.
I like to
I,
hear
I'll go down to the ship.
it.
I'm staying with USC.
For
I
me,
will say that I think this is the most like evenly matched Final Four I
yeah,
think we've seen in a long time, and I love that.
all number
Love that
ones.
for the game.
Yep.
So
So you got well, I'll go ahead and tell you mine. So for me, honestly, I'm Carolina all day. Love
yeah,
South Carolina, and I want them to win it all. But I got to be honest. If if I had to put money on it, I'm probably gonna roll with Texas to win it all.
yeah. I have
I,
South Carolina and Texas in the
yeah,
finals,
me
so
too. I
that's a
got
tough
South Carolina,
team.
Texas. Yep, I got South Carolina, Texas. Because
Sure.
the thing about to me, UConn is a great team, but to me, and I don't want people to say I'm hating on them, but you tell me if I'm wrong. I just feel like they have an easy schedule every year. Maybe one or two games that might give them a little push, but every year it just seems like they always can just run the table. But South Carolina playing in the SEC, they play the best of the best, and like you say, you see Texas left standing. But to me, UConn, they got a great team. I like Fudd. I like Strong. They got a really good disciplined team. But to me, I think South Carolina, when they match up later on tonight, I think South Carolina, they got all the ingredients to take them down.
Yeah. I think it's also so ironic. Just like again, little forecasting. The one team that we haven't mentioned is UCLA, and I
Hmm.
think they will be the team that has the most players drafted in the first round.
Mm.
So and so like the immense talent that is in here. We didn't even mention UCLA. They're an
Yeah.
amazing team. They have amazing players. But I mean, I also don't have them, going to the finals or
Anyway, it
uh
could be a
but
situation where they
it's
might be the team that come
yeah.
out and win it all. But
Well, I think we have seen Texas and UCLA play before, and
mm,
Texas did win. So you definitely have like that aspect of it. Um, yeah, that Texas team is tough.
man, when you look at the last 5 or 6 games from that SEC tournament all the way through the tournament right now, they smoked everybody. It's they got a
I,
strong team.
yeah,
And what they did to us up in Greenville at the in the SEC championship game, it was ugly. And I was just saying, man, I was like, you know what? I hope somebody can knock Texas off because we got to see them in the championship game, man. It's gonna be a tough one. And lo and behold, when we played them again, uh, it was bad. But man, you
yeah,
just look what the demolition job they just did on Michigan.
yeah,
It wasn't even close. So man, Texas, if just looking at it, and I like Madison Booker too. She got a lot of game, man. I'm a fan of Madison Booker. But I would have felt
Bree
uh
Harmon.
yeah,
You know,
Harmon, yeah, yeah.
I think things really need to run through a little more, but
I
we'll
would have
see.
felt a lot more comfortable with picking South Carolina this year if we had Chloe Kitts and Ashlyn Watkins.
Sure. Yeah.
Those are two big pieces that we're missing this year. Even though we still got a great team, I would have
Yeah.
felt a lot more comfortable if we had those two pieces with our team. But I hope Tanaya Latson can show up too. I know she's not just scoring as much as she did in Florida State because she was with a much better team now, but I feel like she gonna have one of those moments where she gonna really break through and put up and do
I
play
know.
good.
I obviously love Latson. I was hoping that when she hit the portal that she would come to South Carolina.
Hmm.
Um, I do think existing just in South Carolina's bubble in Dawn's universe has done her draft stock a lot of good, like
Hmm.
in spite of the up and down kind of season that she's had. Um, a lot of teams are going to be watching her right
Oh yeah.
now.
The one thing when I interviewed Asia, I spoke to Sanaya Fagan, Tina Pow Pow, Alicia, oh man, Atlanta Dream, what's
Oh, great.
Alicia, is it Gray? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So when I interviewed all of them, they were great. And the one thing I said about what is it like playing for Dawn State, like how does she prepare you? They all say she prepares you to be a pro. They all say the same thing.
I mean,
You come out of there, you fundamental sound, you learn to be a pro. So this was the one thing you can hang your hat on when you play for Coach Staley.
yeah. I mean, there will be multiple, Gamecocks taken in that first round too.
Oh yeah.
So
Raven
Indi-
Johnson, she'll probably be another one.
Indiana's probably going to go fishing in the South Carolina pond
Yep.
again. So, you find something good, just keep going back.
Go to
So,
South Carolina, yep.
Latson, however, I'm intrigued at a team like Connecticut.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, I think that what she does tonight could definitely intrigue a team like that already has such a young core and so many pieces. Maybe the pressure isn't fully on her to have it 100% together.
Hmm. Or
Um,
you know what, another team I think needs a lot better guard play is Chicago. I think they need
yeah,
Scott. They need um, guard play bad. I think
yeah.
they need a lot better guard play. Which I seen some mock drafts where they were saying maybe they take Flage with the fifth pick in the draft, but whoever they get, I think they definitely need much better guard play.
I selfishly want her to go to like Toronto or something.
Hmm.
Just because,
You know who else would
big
be
personality, big brand, awesome for a brand new team. Like,
who would be interesting to see if they get an opportunity to play would be Deja Kelly. I
mm,
would be interested to see if she get another opportunity to play somewhere because last year in the preseason she was great for the Aces. I mean, she did
yeah,
everything right. She made a hit a game winner in the preseason, but then still surprisingly they just let her go, which was crazy to me. I'd have felt like she did enough to make the roster, but like you said, it's tough making those WNBA rosters. So it'll be interesting to see if she gets an opportunity somewhere else.
these two extra spots. I'm curious to see what teams do with them.
Hmm. Yeah.
So hopefully, if anything else, she'll find her way to one of those somewhere, and get herself back on a roster. She definitely deserves to be a player in the
Mhm.
WNBA. So
Do you see talking about some of the college players, do you see Fudd going number one though? You think she'll be the first pick?
with the roster constructed the way it is now, I mean, as a fan, I would love to see Fun go to Dallas. Is that the best pick? It's a good pick for them. Is it the best pick? I don't know. I would say like picking Fam, like the 6'4" center.
Hmm.
That would probably be a good pick for them, you
Yeah.
know. So I could see something like that more. I know it's not a fan favorite pick.
Yeah.
Fudd is definitely the fan favorite pick.
I think maybe it
But
depends. A lot of it depends on what Enrique does. Like if she
yeah.
walk, then I think they might take her number one.
However, I think if they don't take Fudd, I can see Seattle taking her. And I
Really?
think that would be a lot of fun.
Yep. Yep. I could, because I think they have the bigs already down low. You got if assuming Neka Gumake goes back, and then you have the rookie they had last year.
Mhm.
I love her game.
Yeah.
I think Seattle
Just to take
goes.
another step.
Yep.
So yeah. Yeah, I think they're set there. So they definitely could use somebody like a player like Fudd for sure.
Hmm. I want to see Minnesota. Well, I don't know. Depending on, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I wouldn't be surprised. To me, I think they should go get Betts out of UCLA.
Mhm.
When we talked last year, when
I
we
can see them
talked,
taking Miles, but yeah.
For me, when we talked last year, the one thing I told you when I watched Minnesota, I love everything about them, but I said to me, they're a little bit too small. That
Mhm.
was the one thing I felt like they needed was a big that can, kind of like bang down low and get some rebounds. Because a lot of times they ended up, even though they won a game, had the best record in the league, a lot of times they were getting out rebounded. But I think she would be somebody I would consider taking with that pick that they have Minnesota. What
Yeah.
I think what they had the second or third pick in the draft.
The Lynx are the second pick, I'm
Lynx had to
pretty
say
sure.
yes, yeah. So man, if I were them, man, I'm probably going to get bets if she doesn't go number one
Should be there. I'm fairly like if they don't like, would you take bets over Fudd?
for what team?
Like if you have the second pick, you know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
well, for
well, if you
Minnesota,
have the first pick, you have everybody to pick from,
yeah,
and if you're looking at the guard position,
yeah. For
then
me,
the
depending on
flex.
team need, but I think Minnesota need a big more than they need more
Yeah,
than they would need for.
yeah.
For me personally, at Dallas they could go either way. I think they can get a big or they can go. You know what? I probably would get another. If I'm Dallas, I'm probably going to get another big because
Yeah.
of course, I like Enrique. I did like Isaiah James too. I like Isaiah
Yeah.
James. Um, I feel like they got the guard play already. You got Page, of course. Um, Man, if I'm them, I'll probably go get a big too. But I think a lot of it depends on what Enrique does. Does she stay in Dallas or does she move on? But I think Dallas will end up
Because
giving her the max deal.
somebody's going to give her a super max, I
Who?
would imagine, and it
Give
would
who
be
the max
wise for
deal?
them to be that person. Yeah. So like somebody will give Enrique a super max.
Yeah, oh yeah. She's definitely gonna get a super
Wise
max.
for her to be the list.
But I think a lot of those teams probably they're probably gonna keep the star players where they already are. I think she probably 85% chance she comes back to Dallas though. I think, me personally. It'd be hard to see them just let her go, or if um, I'm gonna say she goes back, and then I think they take a big in the with the first pick in the draft.
Yeah.
But like you said, Fudd it'll be interesting to see what they do with Fudd though. But she
These are
definitely won't be out of the top
these are
three.
first world problems. You picking between, like
Right,
they're going to get better.
right,
There's a reason that they're kind of picking first. They are truly a first picking of the draft
yeah.
type
I
of
felt like
team.
they underachieved last year because
That that's being
before the season
generous.
started, I was like, man, this team right here when they had Dejanay. Enrique, you got Page. I was like, man, this team right here might be able to make some noise, or well, at least make the playoffs. I ain't gonna say these make noise, but at least make the playoffs.
Basically, they blew the team up.
Yep,
So
yep, right in the middle of the season, they just blew it all up. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm excited about all of that, but definitely looking forward to the games tonight. So you have South Carolina and Texas in the championship, and
I do.
you got South Carolina winning it all.
Yeah. I'm gonna go down with the ship. If I'm wrong, I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm taking I love South Carolina, but I got South Carolina, Texas is in the championship and I got Texas taking it all, man. It's just hard for me to see. It's just like the demolition job that they've been doing over this last stretch of games from the SEC tournament all the way to the NCAA tournament and just man, these games haven't even been close at all. So of course I think when they get to the championship game, it's gonna be a lot closer, they got to get by UCLA, which I think they will. But
Yeah, I
UConn
think
or
truthfully, I'm more confident, and this will probably like none of this will be right, but I am more confident in Texas getting by UCLA than I am South Carolina getting by UConn.
me too, me too. For
But that's
whatever
not going to stop
reason,
me from picking them.
I think UCLA had a really great run, but man, and I know it's a lot of times it's hard to beat a team twice, but I feel like Texas is better now than what they were back then.
Yeah.
And man, they just to me, it's like it's hard for me to just deny what I've been seeing because I was just,
I would hate it as a South Carolina fan. However, it's good for the game
yeah.
for the same teams not to win every
This is
time.
so this was since all right, since March the 6th, this has been the scores: 83-60, 85-68, 78-61. Then you got Missouri State 87-45, 158, 76-54 against Kentucky. And then you had Michigan, the number 2 seed Michigan, they beat them 77-41. So
Yeah.
it's just like, man, they just been on a tear. And it's hard for me to see. And like I said, in that mix of games, they had South Carolina in the SEC tournament, 78-61. I
Yep.
would love to see us, come back and knock them off this time around. But I just think they just playing at a super high level right now. And this UCLA game, it could be interesting, but man, I think from what I've seen, that it might start off close. You know what? I think I'll take them to beat UCLA by double digits tonight too. I think they'll
Wouldn't
be,
surprise me.
yeah. I think they'll beat UCLA by double digits, and then when we get to that national championship game, I hope Coach Staley can pull some out of a hat. But I think she'll be locked in though, especially losing that last year's championship game. I think with us playing them again, this will be the third time we played them this season. Once in the regular season, then the SEC championship game, and then the national championship. Coach Staley would be locked in, but it just for me, I want South Carolina to win, but I just can't deny what I've been seeing from
Yeah,
from
that's fair.
Texas right now.
I'm not saying that my choice is the wisest choice. I'm just saying that got my floaties and I'm going down with the
Yeah,
ship.
yeah. Man, I want to see them knock off UConn though. Man, like I said, UConn is a great team, but to me, it's like they always just get this cakewalk. I don't know. If you look at his schedule, it's like, man, who did they really play? They had a couple of games, 3 or 4
Yeah.
games. We like, okay, it's a good push, a good challenge. But then the rest of it, it's nothing like South Carolina's schedule where you playing, going through that SEC and you getting the best of the best. It's tough,
Yeah,
but
I don't disagree. And then I'm also like, well, you can only play the schedule you're given, you know?
yeah,
But I mean, here they are in the Final Four. Um, so, if they can get their way into a finals, then
yeah.
I
You know what
can
was
see
weird
what
for
I
me
can do
though?
here. You know?
I'm gonna tell you one thing that was weird before we wrap it up. So I don't know if you saw that press conference that the coach from Syracuse did, and she was upset because she was like, every year we got to play UConn in like the first round, or they always in the same region with them. She was like, it's just so unfair that we got to play them. To me, that was kind of weird because it's like whether you play them now, you gonna have to play them at some point. But okay, but if they put you in the region with South Carolina, you think you can beat them? If you put them in a region with UCLA or Texas, can you beat them? It's like, no, you can't even. So do
I
does
get
the
her
real
frustration because
Mhm.
that is a Goliath thing
It
that you
is, it
always,
is.
to live in the shadow of UConn or like, some of these teams. It is frustrating. It's frustrating from a recruiting perspective. It's frustrating, from a motivation perspective. But I mean, you also get paid a lot of money to be
Mhm.
a professional in coaching and to string these games together. And, you know, like it's tough. It really is. But I will say this because I have most of my family is from Central New York, and we've grown up Syracuse fans as well. And so like I do pay more attention to the Syracuse program than probably like most people would. Like
Mhm.
it's just like weirdly niche for me, you know. Um, and I will say a few years ago, Syracuse, specifically women's team, had a situation, or a series of situations that they left unchecked. There was a lot of bad like coaching, management, locker room things that were being done. And as a result, many very good players hit the portal.
Mhm.
And that is a team that still has not recovered
Right.
from it. And so truly that's self-inflicted. And so while that's unfortunate, you know, that is the bed that you made years ago that you have
Yeah.
not recovered from in part.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's more than just like, oh, UConn's so good to the Syracuse story. Like
Right.
you had a decent team. and you could have continued to build upon that, and maybe you would be in a better situation
Mhm.
now. But due to
I just feel like it don't matter what region they play in, when they play them, however they play them, don't matter where they play. It's UConn. I just can't see Syracuse doing
you better
anything
start
with them.
shaking that money tree. It's a,
Yep, got to dig
yeah,
into those pockets.
yeah. I mean, you better start asking, I don't know, Carmelo to start helping you
Yeah,
recruit or something. You know what I
it's just the
mean?
way of the game now. Like these players,
Yeah,
and I'm not knocking it at all. Go get their money while you can, get all of it. And I just read something the other day where Coach Staley said the same thing. Early in her conversations with athletes, she said money is one of the first few things that they talk about because she's like, you don't want to waste your time, you don't want to waste their time because eventually that part is gonna come up in the conversation as far as like how much can you compensate these players. So
yep.
Syracuse, you got to find a way to dig into those pockets. But even then, it's until Gino leaves, man, they might have a hard time knocking off
Their
UConn.
yeah, their alumni cannot be understated too. Their alumni is so involved,
Hmm.
you know,
And that's
and
just an
I don't know.
established
Like,
program.
yeah, as a player, the level of players that they are recruiting anyway, as one of those players in this age, if somebody like Tarazi or Sue Bird, comes and is like, hey, like we would really like you to join the Yukon
That
family. I'm
lineage
like,
of players,
okay.
yeah, it's man,
Like,
you can't.
I just there are other programs that have it in that way, but I don't know if other programs have the same level of
Level, yeah,
advancement.
it's levels to this. This is
So
just
many, like
greatness.
it's
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
wave after wave after every year there is just
right.
adding to the Yukon legacy in
Like
the WNBA
Tennessee
too.
had
So
great players,
yeah,
but UConn is just like the greats of the greats, like all time greats, man. And just man, it's I don't know if there's any school that can rival them in as far as like the level of
I mean
players
they have
that
longevity right now too.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
there are other teams that have kind of started, but I mean they got years to try to catch up. They better hope Gino
yeah.
retires soon,
That's
you know?
is exactly what I'm saying. And then you like I said, you just had Paige last year. That's another great right there. So man, it's they just loaded with talent. But it's gonna be fun to see all of this play out, and I'm excited to be back talking hoops again, Nicole. Um,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
anytime.
definitely a fun season. Gonna be interesting to see. Hopefully, the Lady Gamecocks can win the championship the next time we hop back on and talk some more women's basketball. So, Nicole, thank you again. Before we get out of here, tell everybody how they can find you again.
Sure. My name is Nichols, Nichooltz. I can be found pretty easily on Facebook or Instagram. Other than that, find my LinkedIn. That's about all I got.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Nicole, thank you again. I really enjoyed this episode. We definitely got a lot more to talk
Oh,
about in
and
the
play
coming weeks.
WNBA Fantasy this year.
Which
I will
one?
say that. WNBA Fantasy, ESPN platform.
I definitely need to get on. You know what? I got something I want to talk to you about. Matter of fact, what we should do? I'll just say it now. We should do like it's kind of crazy that you said it because I was gonna say, man, we should do an episode where we do our own, a WNBA draft. Like we pick our
Really,
best
that's good.
12,
Like a
12
mock draft.
players and yep, do like our own mock draft and then we just let everybody decide who has the better roster. So that'll definitely be something fun we can do next time. And
Yep.
I'll give you the first pick as well. You get the first pick. So you're already on the clock. I think I already know where you're going with it. I know you're going with the number one pick already, but Nicole, you're on the clock. So next time we'll do our own WNBA draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, we have free agency to talk about next time.
I know,
Fingers
right? Yeah,
crossed.
that'll be something good to talk about as well. So we'll be in touch. We're gonna stay connected and we're gonna figure out we'll be looking at checking emails and everything just to see what else is going on. So it's got a lot to talk about. And so everybody stay tuned. We're gonna do the draft, free agency, a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So Nicole, thank you again. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully
Yeah, thanks
everybody
for having
enjoyed
me.
this. Absolutely. And hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode of Cross the Line Sports. Till next time, keep chasing dreams. Thank you for listening.